Hi everyone, so today I'll be doing a quick review on the South of Sanity 2-wick 10-ounce candle in the scent Candy Corn. This uses 100% paraffin wax with cotton zinc-cored wicks. The retail price is $25. To talk about the vessel very quickly, I like that it has a screw-on lid, so you are able to clean off wax and reuse it. And also, I enjoy that there is a light orange hue to it to kind of mimic the orange layer in candy corn. And the amber colored glass looks really nice. The label is very crisp and vivid. And if you, for example, you want to see more of the flickering flame, you can turn it around and then see it on the other side. The information that's listed on the website says, after years of trying, I have finally developed a scent that I believe smells like real candy corn. Scent notes of sweet vanilla, buttercream, sugar, and honey. Spooky scale 1 out of 10, just a touch of spooky because it's candy corn. To go over the price very quickly, because Virgil, the owner, also has this scent in the wax melt. So the wax melt is $6.50 for 2.5 ounces, which the price per ounce is $2.60. Versus the 2-wick candle, it's $25 for 10 ounce, and the price per ounce is $2.50. So it's pretty similar if you get the candle versus if you get the wax melts. But okay, on cold, the candle did smell lighter than the wax melt that I got. I feel like the wax melts were also a bit sweeter and definitely creamier. So I think there was a heavier emphasis on the buttercream. It was a bit hard to get a read on the candle just because it was pretty light. So on cold, I would give this candle a light score, or maybe like a 3 or 4 out of 10, because you really had to inhale the candle in order to get a sense of what it was going to smell like. But okay, to talk about the first burn experience for this candle, I didn't get much of a scent throw, and that could also be because it was the first burn, so it took a while to pull out, about 3.5 hours, and I did smell it more after I extinguished it. So in the care instructions, and I believe in Virgil's video, he had mentioned that you might not get an even wax pull after the first or second burn, but eventually you will. I might be in the minority, but I did get an even wax pull after my first burn. I only had it going for 3.5 hours, so there's that. Also, I did notice some mushroom top forming, and so I did trim my wicks in the beginning of my second burn. And I do have to mention that I like that the wicks are very sturdy, because some companies use very flimsy, I don't know, they're just like tiny wicks that you go and trim and you take too much because it just disintegrates, and that's definitely not the case. Very sturdy. So after my second burn, I would also consider it a low strength and throw. Unfortunately, it was maybe like a 3 or 4 out of 10. And I would consider it more as a background scent, or maybe a scent that you would mix and blend with other candles. And I have this going in my medium-sized bedroom. But I do have to note that I enjoy pretty strong fragrances, I would have to say. The projection, I think I would also, I think the projection is a little bit better. I'd give it like either a 5 or a 6 out of 10, because it does do an okay job at filling up my medium-sized bedroom. But let me quickly compare it to the wax melt. So I have found that Virgil's wax works the best in my Julienne 25-watt hot plate warmer. I have to use 2 cubes though, so that's another thing. With a 6 cube clamshell, I can only get 3 uses out of it. Because when I first tried it, 1 cube in my Julienne hot plate, I had it set to medium, and after it melted, I didn't really get much. So I thought, okay, maybe I need another cube in my warmer, because it does fit up to maybe about, I would say max 3 to 4 cubes, but I always stick to either 1 or 2. So anyways, that was better. I would still give it light after that second cube melted in my medium-sized bedroom, about a 3 out of 10. However, it jumped up to a 5 or 6 out of 10 after about 2 hours. And I feel like the scent that you get initially is more of that waxy, heavy emphasis on the buttercream honey mixture. But then as the hours or minutes go on, I think I get more of the soft vanilla. It almost mimics a little bit like a marshmallow, fluffy marshmallow type scent. But anyways, going back to the candle, I feel like right now that I'm in the midway mark. Unfortunately, it has taken on that quality that I have found that some Village and Tuscany 2-wick candles have, where the scent becomes a little bit more, I wouldn't necessarily say sooty, but it becomes more like toasty. So maybe more of like a burnt candy corn type scent, or like if you're roasting, roasting candy corns. So that's a bit unfortunate because I feel like the scent, if you want to get a true representation of how the scent performs, I think the wax melts are the way to go. Let me go ahead and turn this over a little bit just so you can see the wax pool. This one hasn't fully melted out. In about 30 minutes, I'm sure that little edge right there will fully melt. So you can see right there, no issues with the wicks. I would say they're about a medium. And I don't have much or any soot that I am visibly seeing. So I'm not sure if this scent that I'm getting is specific to candles that use predominantly or 100% paraffin wax. And that's another thing that I have to make a note, that if you're sensitive to paraffin wax, I'm able to smell it. And I feel like some people are sensitive to the smell of soy wax, which I sometimes am. But because I think this scent itself is very light, I am able to pick up on that paraffin wax more so now that it's closer, or this candle is closer to being done. Let me go ahead and give you an overhead view just so you can see the performance and how the wax looks like when it's liquefied. All right, so here's an overhead view of my candle. If you can see there, my wax pool is almost fully liquefied, so that's great. I'm just gonna wait another maybe 30 minutes and then extinguish it. No issues with the flame steadying out. I would give this the flames about a medium. They're not necessarily high, but I wouldn't say that they're low either. Overall, no real instances of sooting again. I think my main issue is that I feel like the scent has changed from when I started to right now. And I feel like that might just either be my sensitivity to how the paraffin wax smells, or it could be that the scent slightly was altered during the burn process. I did place this in a hurricane for part of one of my burns just to help it pull out because I was leaving soon. And I feel like maybe that was the issue. I added too much heat, perhaps. I'm not sure. My overall thoughts are that this 2-wick candle performed pretty well, especially given the bad rap that paraffin wax gets. No real instances of sooting. The wax hasn't gotten dirty or anything. I feel like it's just that the scent has slightly changed since I started burning this. If you ask me, hey, I really like the scent of candy corn, do you recommend it? Yes, I feel like this is one of, if not the best. Well, I haven't smelled Goose Creek or Yankee Candle, but I feel like in my limited experience, I think this is one of the top candy corn fragrances. However, I would recommend it in the wax melts instead of the candle just because I got better strength and throw out of it. So note also, I only have one warmer in my room, so I think you might get better strength and throw. It might amp it up a bit more if you use multiple warmers. I just use one, so I also want to make that note. Also, I feel like the wax melts takes you a little bit more on a journey. I think you get more of that like crispy outer candy corn, like when you first bite into it, smell on cold. And during the first, I would say maybe like hour or so of the melting process. And then it becomes a lot softer. I feel like you get almost this marshmallowy type vanilla. It becomes slightly less creamy while still retaining the sweetness of it. And overall, it's a really good gourmand fragrance. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great day. Okay, bye.